Card climbed into the saddle. He left town and let the gray horse run until he was tired. The more he rode Ghost, the more good qualities about the horse he found. The animal was fast, and he had the stamina to follow a trail all day long. Plus, he reminded Card of Smoke, and that was enough to declare that Ghost would be his horse from now on. The directions were right on target, and he didn't have any trouble finding the Haggard farm. From the road, the house and surrounding buildings could be seen with his looking glass, but he was still too far away to make out faces. He rode on to the creek and turned up the stream, staying in the timber that lined its banks. When he could see the house and outbuildings, he found a good place to stop where he could stay hidden in the shadows. There were kids in the fields, hoeing weeds out of the cotton, and it wasn't long until he saw a man get up off the ground from under a shade tree, then go over to a group of 3 kids and give them direction. The man pointed at the weeds, and it looked like he shouted at them. He was maybe 6'2" and looked strong. He wore a straw hat and bib overalls without a shirt. Card moved the telescope toward the house. A man dressed in range clothes and wearing a gun dragged a boy by his ear across the yard and toward the residence. The boy was crying and trying to get loose, and he couldn't be more than 10 or 11, based on his size. Card watched them enter the house through the front door. The scene upset him. No child should be treated that way. And if that was the way those people administered discipline, then something needed to be done about it. The man leading the boy had blonde hair and wore a black hat and black breeches with a red checkered shirt. Card turned the looking glass back to the kids in the field to spend some time watching how they were being treated. The first thing he noticed was that they were working in the hot sun without hats. It looked like there were 3 girls and a young boy, who was maybe 6 or 7. Although it wasn't uncommon for an entire family to work the fields, it seemed like the only ones working were the children. The grown man who was with them did nothing but shout orders. Those were the only 2 men he could see from his position. He assumed they were both Cotton's brothers, but that meant there was still one unaccounted for. It was getting late, and he needed to leave before he was spotted. When he had time, he'd speak to Sheriff Taylor in Clarksville about the Haggard boys, since they lived in his county. Maybe he could shed some light on them. The sun was setting as he started to ride, and out of the corner of his eye he thought he saw someone watching him. But when he turned to look, no one was there. He crossed over Cuthand Creek and rode toward the Rafter P to check on Maxine. While he rode, he had time to think over what he had seen, and something definitely needed to be done about the Haggards.